The mighty Avengers return to do battle with a villain of their own creation. It's the Age of Ultron. Assemble yourselves as Johnnie Torch gives you an exhaustive rundown on Joss Whedon's latest and possibly final Avengers film. This was a film that was a bit more difficult to take in than I expected. I can honestly say I enjoyed it, but it seems to me a film that needs to be watched at least 2 or 3 times to really get a handle on it. I really enjoyed Ultron, but I didn't really feel like we spent enough time with him. James Spader gives a fun and darkly witty turn as Ultron. I enjoyed his morbid philosophy and his strange little quotations from the Bible. He was every bit as odd and entertaining as I expected. He seemed unsure if he should aspire to attain humanity or godhood. But there just wasn't enough of this brought to the surface. The biggest problem for me was that he should have been a personal villain for the Avengers, but he never got a chance to deliver that gut punch, a la Loki killing Coulson. They never really traded on Ultron's robotic Oedipus complex that made him such a dandy villain in the comics either. Apart from a brief scene at the expense of Ulysses Klaue's left arm, they didn't really zero in on the key rivalry between Stark and his effect on his Frankenstein monster. Given that Pepper Potts isn't in the film, though she and Jane Foster at least rate a shout-out, I expected, or I guess maybe hoped is the right term, that Black Widow's capture in the last third of the film would somehow stir some type of amour in his vibranium breast. But alas, her capture pretty much came to naught. The Hawkeye being married subplot honestly did nothing for me. Good for Jeremy Renner getting some decent screen time here, but I still would have preferred him with the Widow. This incarnation of Barton doesn't seem greatly consistent with his comic counterpart. Arguably, however, Renner steals the show here with some great lines, both humorous and profound alike. I didn't really care for the Banner-Widow romance. They kicked Betty Ross to the curb with nary a word about her. And it just felt to me like they thought, Widow needs a fella after all these films. We ain't doing anything with the Hulk now. How about Banner? As I said before, Barton seems made to order for her, if they didn't marry him off already. With Stark and Thor taken as well, many probably shipped her with Cap, but I personally don't find them greatly compatible. I was somewhat disappointed in the Hulk this film. Well, with the exception of the Hulkbuster fight, which was admittedly something that should have happened by now. We get no Hulk-out scenes, which are half the fun of the Hulk, the Unleash the Beast moment. Well, we got a Hulk-in scene for once. And Hulk is still portrayed as a mute byproduct of Banner and given no character of his own. At this point, it's getting a little ridiculous. One would think in a universe with a talking tree that repeats the phrase, I am Groot endlessly, a little Hulk speak would go a long way. Hulk is my favorite character, so granted, I expected much from him. It doesn't help that, due to Universal having Hulk's distribution rights, Disney is less than excited to get another Hulk solo off the ground. I think the problem I had with Hulk was they didn't really give him too many, oh well, for lack of a better term, human moments. At least in the first Avengers film, you got a sense of Hulk's emotions on some level. His smile at Cap's Hulk smash, his dedication to saving Tony from the fall, his playfully getting the last jab at Thor. I felt we really didn't get that here. He was pretty much rage and nothing more. They kinda sorta retreaded the Betty calming scenes from the previous 2 Hulk solos, but it felt unearned with it being the Widow. I guess any pretty lady can talk him down into a Hulkin? We get some interesting and somber backstory of the Widow here. It pretty much served to make me long for that elusive Black Widow solo film that I've been hoping for since the first Avengers film. Cap spent the whole last act sans helmet, which is very disappointing. At least in all the other appearances, he would wear it for the final battle. Cap gets a pretty sweet truck chase with Widow and Hawkeye against Ultron, though. The running joke about Cap's stance on bad language was both funny and fitting with his character. Much of Thor's subplot was lost on me, not being a dyed-in-the-wool Thor reader, but I'm guessing it'll pay off in his next solo film or Avengers film. His scene seemed included to give the prerequisite male topless scene per every Marvel movie. Eric Selvig also appears, presumably to salve the indignities leveled at him in the otherwise enjoyable Thor the Dark World. It can't go without saying that the ending of Iron Man 3 passes without explanation. There seemed an unnecessary need to put a cap on the Iron Man franchise, as if there was a fearful chance that Robert Downey Jr. would actually turn down further installments, by having him blow all the suits in the final act of Iron Man 3. Here he just shows up to work, with his house all in order. No explanation given. Robert Downey Jr. is so good, though, as long as he shows up, no explanation is needed. The twins were pretty good. I probably liked Quicksilver better than the Witch. His attempt at a consistent accent seemed a bit better at least. His death was handled well, but it's kind of a cop-out. It's tough to write such a powerful character, so it's easier to just write him out. It's also a great waste as he was an enjoyable character with lots of potential for the upcoming Inhumans movie. But in order to reject the complaint that death means nothing in the MCU, he'll apparently stay dead. Come on, beside Coulson, who really died and came back? By the way, Coulson is disappointingly absent from a potentially moving, hilarious reunion scene. Quicksilver's death at least could have come in a later film. I think we really didn't get to know him enough for the proper impact. Vision was pretty cool. It felt a little wonky having him join the team in that manner, but no complaints. Of course, his future relationship with the Scarlet Witch is hinted at. It will be fun seeing their interactions in the future. The Stan Lee cameo was great. He finally said Excelsior. This film is also stuffed with some great cameos. A real funny joke involving War Machine. Falcon shows up to give us a brief update on Captain America 3, The Search for Bucky, Civil War. Nick Fury, thankfully no longer dressing like a hobo, and Maria, Be Still My Heart, Hill. In the end, apparently Cap and Widow will be training a new group of Avengers for next time. There was a hush over the audience as Cap uttered the immortal words, Avengers? And then the movie ended to some irate 8-year-old shouting, he was going to say it! He was just about to say it! Oh well, maybe next time. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the mid-credits tag, Thanos putting on the gauntlet apparently ready to take matters into his own hands. It's about darn time. I don't agree that this film is the victim of not being able to surprise us twice with pulling the team-up concept together, as some people have suggested. It just feels like it needed to be tighter of focus. I kind of feel there was more things of importance in the fringes of the movie that could have been pulled out and brought to the forefront. The sad old, a better movie is fighting to come out syndrome. There was some room for improvement, but as it stands, there was enough fun, action, and humor to go around. I ultimately liked what I saw. I'm giving Avengers Age of Ultron 4.5 stars out of 5. This is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.